Hi guys, in this video I will show you how to create, read, update and delete the data from MySQL database using Node. So as you can see, currently I have opened my command prompt. So here I'm going to create a folder by using this mkdir command, which short for make directory. So I'm going to give my folder name as CRUD operations. So now CRUD operations folder is successfully created. Now let's head over to our CRUD operations folder by using cd command, which short for change directory. So now we are currently in this CRUD operations folder. Now let's open this folder in our VS Code by using code space dot. After that, click on enter. So now our CRUD operations folder is successfully opened in VS Code. So database connections will comes under backend development, right? So for the backend, I'm going to use Node.JS. So to initialize the Node project inside this CRUD operations folder, we have to use the command called npm init and then hyphen hyphen s. So after that, a node project will be initialized inside our CRUD operations folder. So now if I extract this CRUD operations folder, as you can see, we got a file with name package.json. That means now node is successfully initialized inside our CRUD operations folder. So after that, I'm going to create a file with name server.js. So this will be our root file. So now we have to build web server. So for building web server, we have to use a package called Express. So to use that Express package, first we have to install that inside our CRUD operations folder. So let's go to command prompt and use npm I, which short for install, and then enter Express. After that, I'm also want to install node1 package, which is used to update our server automatically without manually running our server. So now click on enter. After that, these two packages will be installed. Just wait. So now these two packages are successfully installed inside our CRUD operations folder. So to check whether those packages are successfully installed or not, you can simply go to VS Code and click on this package.json file. So inside this, we have a property called dependencies, which will reference all our installed libraries. As you can see, inside this dependencies property, we have express node1 because we have installed those two packages from our command prompt, right? So now let's load this expect module inside our server.js file. So I'm going to create a variable with name express, and inside this I'm going to load our express module using require function. So inside this require we have to give express. So after that I'm going to create another variable with name app, and I'm going to reference our express library to this app variable. So now whatever functions which are inside this express library, we can use that using this app variable. So inside this app we have a function called listen. So we have to use this listen function to run our server on a specific port number. So the first parameter will be the port number. So I'm going to give the port number as 5000, and the second parameter will be a callback function. So here I'm going to console a message like server listening. So now let's run our server.js file by using node1 package. So now I'm going to run our server.js file by using this node1 package. So this node1 package is used to update our server.js file whenever we make changes here. So if I write something like, let me write some three dots here. So now if we see the command prompt, as you can see, server again started and it is printing this server listening message. So that is the use of this node1. Whenever we make some changes inside our server.js file, without manually running our server, this node1 will automatically run that for us. So now to check whether our server is working in the browsers as well, we can simply type localhost and then our port number. So our port number is 5000. So if I click on enter, as you can see, we are getting this cannot get root because we have not defined anything for this root. So when we visit this port address for first time, the entry point root will be this. Now let's create this root inside our server.js. So for creating a root, we can use get method, which is inside our express module. Now the entry point is this root. So the first parameter will be the root name. So I'm going to give this as root, which means this will be triggered whenever we visit this port number. As you can see, we have visited this port number from our browser, and the entry point is this. So when we receive a request for this root, I'm going to call a callback function that will be provided in the second parameter. So for this function, we have two parameters. So first one is request and second one is response. So for now, let's send a response like hi from port 5000. Now if you see the output and if I click on refresh, as you can see, we are getting that message. So now let's connect our MySQL database. So to connect MySQL database, we have to install a package called MySQL 2. So let's install that. So we have to stop the server by using Control C. Now I'm going to install that MySQL package by using this npm MySQL 2. So now as you can see, MySQL 2 package is successfully installed. So to check, you can simply go to package.json file, and you can see inside this dependencies folder we have MySQL 2. So now let's run our server again. So now let's load this MySQL2 package inside our server.js file. So I'm going to create a variable with name MySQL2, and inside this I'm going to load that MySQL2 library using require function. Require MySQL2. So now this MySQL2 library is referencing our MySQL2 library. So inside this MySQL2 we have a function called create connection, which is used to connect our MySQL database. So MySQL2, and if I click on dot, as you can see, we have recommendation from VS Code, which is create connection. So this will take the first parameter as an object. So here we have to specify our MySQL credentials. So let me open MySQL workbench. So if you don't have MySQL account, simply go to Chrome and type MySQL. After that, simply click on this link and then click on downloads. And from here, simply scroll down until you see this MySQL community downloads. Click on that. So after that, we will get an interface like this. So if you are a Windows user, we can simply click on this MySQL installer for Windows. After that, it will install MySQL in your system. So now, after installing the MySQL into your system, we have to install MySQL Workbench. So after that, we will get an interface like this. So from here, I'm going to click on this NodeSQL connections. As you can see, the username for this NodeSQL connection is this root, and then host is this 127.0.0.1, which is our localhost address. So here, inside this create connection function, first we have to provide host property, and then here we have to give the value of our localhost address, which is 127.0.0.1. And the second property will be user, and here we have to specify the root, and then third property will be password, and here we have to specify our password. So my password is 1234. So while creating an account, it will ask you to enter the password. So whatever we enter there, we have to enter that here inside this password property. And then the fourth property will be database. So we have not created any database here. Now let's create a database from our MySQL workbench. So here I'm going to click on this NodeSQL connection, and I'm going to type my password and then click on OK. So now I'm going to create a database by using create database. So if you are familiar with SQL, I think you guys know about this create command, which is used to create database. Create database and then our database name. So I'm going to name it as cricketers. So after that, we have to give semicolon at the end of the command. So now to run this, you have to click on this power button. So now as you can see, we have received a message with name, which message create database cricketers. So simply click on refresh. So now as you can see, we got the database with name cricketers. So now let's give this cricketers name inside our database property, cricketers. So now let's reference this create connection variable, create connection function to a variable. So I'm going to name it as database. So now this database variable is referencing our cricketers database. So to check whether this MySQL is successfully connected or not, we can simply use this database variable and then enter dot and then connect. So this will take a callback function. So inside this, let's specify a parameter as error, which is short for error. So if there is any error, let's console that error message by using console.error and then error. So if there is no error, if there is no any error, let's console the success message. MySQL connection successful. So now let's see our command prompt to check whether our MySQL is connected or not. So as you can see, we are successfully able to see that message MySQL connection successful, which means our MySQL database cricketers is successfully connected to our server. So if I type wrong password like 123, as you can see now we got error, access denied for user root, because the password is wrong. Now let's enter correct password. So if you see the command prompt again, so now as you can see, we can able to see that MySQL connection successful message. So after that, let's create a root for creating a table inside our cricketers database. So inside this cricketer database, so if I extract this, and inside this tables, as you can see, we don't have any tables, right? But we are going to create a table inside our cricketers database from our server.js file. So here below this, I'm going to add a comment. So this root is for creating a table inside the database. Now let's create a root. So I'm going to write app.get. So the first parameter will be the root name. So I'm going to give the root name as create table. So when we receive a request for this root, we are going to call this callback function. So this will take request comma response. So here first we have to provide the SQL command. So I'm going to create a variable with name SQL command. So the command for creating a table, sorry guys, this should be in lowercase. So the command for creating a table inside the database is create table, right? Create table, and then we have to give the table name we want. So I'm going to give the table name as Indian cricketers. After that, we have to provide the fields which we want inside this cricketers table. So I want to add the first field as jersey number. So the data type of the number is integer, right? So I have to give int. After that, I want to add another field which is name. So the name is string, right? So for strings, we have to use this varchar, and then I'm going to provide the value of 255. So this 255 means this value of name should not be more than this 255 characters. So now after that, we have to use this database variable, and inside that database variable, we have a function for query. We have a function with name query, which is used to execute our SQL command from this server.js file. So this will take the first parameter as SQL command. So as you can see, our SQL command is stored inside this SQL command variable, right? So here we have to give that SQL command. And then after that, the second parameter will be a callback function. So here we have to give the parameters as, let's give it as error, comma, result. So here first we have to check whether we got any errors or not. So if there is any error inside our SQL command, we are going to console that error in our command prompt, as well as we have to return the response with some message like table not created. So after that, we have to, if there is no any error from our command, we are going to send a response to the user with content table created successfully. And then let's console the result message as well. So if this command is successfully executed, the result will be stored inside this result parameter. And here we are consoling the result. So for now, let's make a mistake. Let's make a mistake here. So instead of table, so I'm going to give the table name as TA. I'm going to make this spelling mistake with intention. So now if I send a request to this create table, we are going to see this message table not created. So let's send a request from the Chrome. So here we have to give our root name, which is create table. So if I click on enter, as you can see, we got this message table not created. So to see that what error, we can simply go to command prompt, and here as you can see, we got the message you have an error in your SQL syntax. That means there is an error inside this command, and we know what that error is. Here we have to write E, right? So now if we send a request again to this create table root, so if I click on enter, as you can see, we got this message table created successfully. If I open command prompt, as you can see, we got this message which is coming from this console statement, console.log result. And we are seeing this table created successful message in our Chrome because this command is successfully executed. So now if I open my MySQL workbench, so if I click on refresh, please keep your eyes on this table section, guys. So if I click on refresh, as you can see, we got a table with name Indian cricketers. So if I extract this, if I click on these columns, as you can see, we got these two columns, jersey number and name, because we have given that here, jersey number and name. So now after that, let's add values inside our columns. So for that, I'm going to create another root. So let's add a comment here. This root is for adding values inside a table. Now let's create a root. So I'm going to give the root name as add cricketer. So the second parameter will be a callback function, which will take two parameters, request comma response. So here I'm going to write a variable name with cricketer. So here, as you can see, inside our create table, inside our Indian cricketers table, we have two fields, right? Jersey number and name. So we have to use object because we have to provide this. We have to provide values for these two columns, jersey number and name. So here we have to give jersey number, and I'm going to give the value as. So let's give the value as 18, and then we have to provide this name property, and I'm going to give the value as Virat Kohli. So after that, we have to write our SQL command. So I'm going to give the variable name as SQL command, and here I'm going to write the command. SQL command, which is insert into. So while adding values to a specific table, we use this command, right? Insert into, and then we give our table name, which is this Indian cricketers. Let me give that Indian cricketers, and then we have to give this jersey number and name here. So let me add jersey number here as well as the name. Let me copy this and paste it here. So after that, we have to provide the values after these values. So here we have to provide the values of the jersey number and name. So instead of writing our values in this command, we have to provide that in the query function, because for some security issues, we shouldn't provide the user input values here. So for that, we have to use this question mark. So this question mark is, we call this as a placeholder. So this placeholder is for this jersey number property, and then we have another property name, right? So I have to add another question. So we are going to provide values for this jersey number and name inside this query function. So now we have to write database, and then we are going to use query function. So the first parameter will be our SQL command, and in the second parameter we have to pass the values for this jersey number property and name property, which are inside this cricketer variable, as you can see here. So here, so we have to pass two values, right? So one value is for jersey number and second value is for name. So we have to use array, and we have to provide the first value for this jersey number, which is inside this jersey number property. So here we have to use this cricketer dot jersey number, and then the second will be the name, which is cricketer dot name. Guys, this should be inside the array. So after that, it will take a callback function. So here you can simply write error comma result. So if there is any error, we are going to console that error, as well as we are going to send a response to the user. It's message like something went wrong. So if there is no any error, we are going to console the result, as well as we are going to send a message to the user. Values are successfully stored. Now let's send a request to this add cricketer root from Chrome. So here, instead of create table, let's add cricketer. So if I click on enter, we got this message something went wrong, which means we have an error in our command. Let me scroll down. We have an error in your SQL syntax. Here Virat Kohli. Let to use near. We got an error here, guys. Let me check what it is. SQL error. Okay, guys, I forgot to add comma here. So between these two question mark, we have to add comma. So now let's send a request to this add cricketer again. So if I click on enter, as you can see, we got this message: values are successfully stored, which means these two, there is that this 18 and Virat Kohli are successfully stored inside our Indian cricketers variable. So now let's open our MySQL workbench. So to retrieve the values from a specific table, we use this command, right? Select star, and then we use our table name, which is Indian cricketers. So if I click on this, we got this message create database. Okay, let me remove this command now, guys. Also, I have to use this cricketers, otherwise we are going to get the error. So now if I execute this command, as you can see, we got this values 18 Virat Kohli. So now let's add another value here. So I'm going to add, let me change the jersey number from 18 to 7. Let's add MS Dhoni. So now let's send a request to this add cricketer root again from our Chrome. So if I click on enter again, as you can see, we got this values are successfully stored message. So now if I execute this command again, as you can see, we got two values, 18 and 7, Virat Kohli and MS Dhoni. So now this route is successfully working. So now let's add another value to this Indian cricketers table, guys. So I'm going to write the jersey number as 46, and I'm going to write Rohit Sharma. I know the jersey number of Rohit Sharma is 45, guys, but I'm giving it for showing you how to update that value using Node. So now let me send a root. Let me add a request to this add cricketer root again. So if I click on add cricketer, as you can see, we got this values are successfully stored message. So now if I execute this command again, as you can see, we got this value. So now I want to update this jersey number 46 to 45 because the jersey number of Rohit Sharma is 45, right? So now for this we need to create another route. So I'm going to create another route for updating a specific value from our table. So here let me add a comment. This route is for updating a specific value from a table. Now let's create another route. So I'm going to give the route name as update cricketer. So this will take callback function. The first parameter will be request and then response. So first I'm going to give the variable name as jersey number. So here we want to give the updated value. So I want to update this 46 value with 45, right? So here we have to give the 45. And then I'm going to create another variable with name, which is Rohit Sharma. So after that, I'm going to write our SQL command inside this SQL command variable. So to update a specific value, we use this SQL command, right? Update, and then we give our table name, which is Indian cricketers, and then we use set, right? So here we have to give the value that we want to update. So the field we want to update is jersey number, right? So here we have to provide jersey number, and here instead of providing the direct value in the command, I'm going to use placeholder, and then we have to use where we want to update the jersey number value. So here we have to give name and then question mark, which is placeholder. Now we have to provide values for this question marks while executing our database.query function. So for that, I'm going to create another variable with name values. So we have to provide two values, right? So one value is for jersey number and another value is for name. So the value for this jersey number is stored inside our jersey number variable, and the value for this name variable is stored inside our name variable. So we have to provide two values. So I have to use array. So the first one is jersey number. So I have to use jersey number here, and then the second will be name, which is stored inside our name variable. So after that, you can simply use our query function, and then the first parameter will be our SQL command, which is stored inside our SQL command variable, and the second parameter will be our values. So our values are stored inside our values variable, right? So I have to give values here, and then we have to provide callback function, which will take two parameters, error comma result, and if there is any error, we are going to console that error, and if there is no, sorry, we have to send a response as well. Let's send a response to error. Updates are not successful. If there is no any error, we are going to console the result message, and then we are going to send a response to yoga. Updates are updated successfully. Now let's send a request to this update cricketer route from our Chrome. So here I'm going to write update cricketer. So if I click on this, as you can see, we got this updates are updated successfully message. So if I open console, as you can see, affected rows is 1, and then changed rows is 1. As you can see, rows matched are 1, because we have only changed the single row, right? So now please keep your eyes here, guys. So if I click on this execute, as you can see, the jersey number for Rohit Sharma field is successfully updated with 45, right? So now let's see our last route, which is for deleting a cricketer. So let's add a comment here. This route is for deleting a user, a cricketer. So now let's create a route with name delete cricketer, and then the second parameter will be a request response callback function. So here I'm going to give the jersey number. So I'm going to delete I want to delete MS Dhoni from this table. So first I'm going to give the jersey number of the MS Dhoni, which is 7, and then let's write our SQL command inside our SQL command variable. SQL command. So here we have to provide our SQL command. So I'm going to use delete, and then from which table we have to give our table name, which is Indian cricketers, and then we have to use where, and here I'm going to write jersey number, is equals to, well, we shouldn't provide the value directly, so I have to use placeholder. So now let's write our query function. So first we have to provide our, sorry guys, we have to provide the value for this jersey number. Const value is equals to, I'm going to give jersey number. So the placeholder value will be replaced with this jersey number, which is 7. So first we have to provide SQL command, and then we have to provide the value, and then we have to provide callback function, which will take error and then result as a parameters. So if there is any error, we are going to console that error, as well as we are going to return a response to our user. Something went wrong. So if there is no any error, we are going to console the result message in our console, as well as we are going to send a response to the user. Content deleted successfully. So now let's send a request to this delete cricketer root from our Chrome. Delete cricketer. So if I click on enter, as you can see, we got this message deleted successfully, which means MS Dhoni is successfully deleted from our table. So if I go to this SQL workbench, so please keep your eyes here. So if I execute this command, as you can see, MS Dhoni is deleted. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you will understand this video. If you cannot understand anything, please comment down so that I will try to explain it again. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.